Nurse Keisha Brown was doing routine checks during her night shift when she noticed something at 3:17 a.m. This small change in the hospital system would determine the difference between 50 patients dying or living by morning. But management wanted her to stay silent. Welcome to Stories of Black Lives. Before we begin these powerful stories covering respect, justice, and hope, please let us know in the comments which country and which city you're watching us from today. If you want to see more stories like this, hit the subscribe button. Please don't forget to like our video. In the humid air of New Orleans, the fluorescent lights of Mercy General Hospital never went out. On that cold March 2024 night, the hospital corridors weren't as quiet as usual. In the post-pandemic period, hospital volume had increased, staff numbers had decreased, and everyone was working tired and tense. But no one could foresee what would happen that night. Keisha Brown was a 37-year-old nurse with 15 years of experience. She was a Tulane University nursing graduate, intensive care certified, and specialized in emergency medicine. Born in New Orleans, she had lived through Hurricane Katrina, worked in the hospital during the city's toughest times, and was a strong woman who had learned to manage crises. She was a mother of two, divorced, and a fighter who raised her family alone. Keisha's family worked in the medical field. Her mother had been a nurse for 30 years, her father was an ambulance driver, and her younger brother was studying at medical school. Raised in the healthcare field, she had learned that caring for patients wasn't just a profession, but a sacred duty. Patients are entrusted lives, her mother always said. Protecting them is your responsibility. Keisha, who played volleyball in high school and was president of the nursing club in college, had always been a leader. Friends would come to her in difficult situations seeking advice. Teachers described her as a natural leader. But Keisha never put herself forward, always preferring to work as a team. Hurricane Katrina, which hit New Orleans during her college years, had changed Keisha's life. She was in her second year of nursing school at the time. During the hurricane, she had volunteered at the hospital. Power was out, waters had risen, and the hospital had turned to chaos. Under those conditions, Keisha had evacuated patients, manually kept intensive care patients on ventilators, and distributed water and food. That experience had taught Keisha the importance of staying calm during crises. Panicking was easy, but clear thinking was needed to save lives. After graduating following Katrina, she had started working at Mercy General. She had been working in the same hospital, the same intensive care unit for 15 years. Keisha's night shift started at 11:00 p.m. It normally lasted until 7:00 a.m. During this 8-hour shift, she would be responsible for 12 patients in intensive care. She knew every patient's file, memorized medication times, and performed vital sign checks to the minute. Her colleagues called her the walking protocol because she knew hospital rules by heart. Keisha's working style was methodical and detailed. When she entered each patient's room, she would first visually check, then check the machines, verify medications, talk to the patient, and take notes. Thanks to the system she had developed over 15 years, she wouldn't miss any detail. Patient safety was more important than anything else to her. That night it started like any other. At 11:15 p.m., she had taken over from the previous shift, Nurse Williams. 12 patients, different conditions. Post-surgical recovery, cardiac monitoring, diabetes complications, respiratory distress. Each was critical, each requiring special attention. Mr. Johnson in bed 7 gets his antibiotic at midnight, Williams had said. Rodriguez in bed 3 had her insulin protocol changed, watch the new dosages. The teenager in bed 11 is a car accident victim, a family member might come at any time. Keisha had taken notes. Just as she always did, she was a detailed, meticulous nurse who left nothing incomplete. She hadn't had a major incident in 15 years. Hospital management trusted her. Doctors respected her judgment. Patients loved her because she was both professional and compassionate. At 12:30 a.m., she started her first round. She checked every patient's vital signs, gave medications, checked IV lines. Everything seemed normal. Johnson in bed 7 took his antibiotic and slept comfortably. Mrs. Rodriguez in bed 3 had stable blood sugar levels. Everything was running routinely. Throughout the night, Keisha continued her normal routine. At 1:45 a.m., the second round. Same protocol, same attention. Keisha mentally noted each patient's condition. Thanks to years of experience, she could notice even the smallest changes. Breathing patterns, skin color, response levels, she monitored everything. At 20:30 a.m., she saw that the patient in bed 9, Mrs. Carter, had pressed her call button. She was a 68-year-old woman in cardiac surgery recovery. Keisha immediately rushed over. "What's wrong, Mrs. Carter?" she asked in a gentle voice. "I feel different," Mrs. Carter said in a weak voice. "I'm dizzy." There's tightness in my chest. Keisha immediately checked her vital signs. Blood pressure slightly elevated, heart rate irregular, oxygen saturation normal. It could be standard post-surgical symptoms, but Keisha's intuition told her something different. When did this start? She asked. After the last medication, maybe 30 minutes ago. Keisha reviewed Mrs. Carter's chart. The last medication had been given at 200 a.m., blood thinner, heart medication, painkiller combination, standard post-surgical protocol. But something felt wrong. After making Mrs. Carter comfortable, Keisha returned to the nurse's station. She opened Mrs. Carter's complete medical record on the computer terminal. Surgery notes, post-op instructions, medication orders. She examined everything in detail. At 3:17 a.m. during routine medication preparation, Keisha noticed something was different. In the medication tray from the pharmacy, there were medications prepared for several patients. Each medication was labeled for the correct patient, at the correct dosage, scheduled for the correct time. But when Keisha looked carefully, she saw a pattern. Patients in beds 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17 to 6 patients had all received the wrong medications. The labels were correct, but the contents were different. Blood thinner doses were double, cardiac medications were the wrong strength, anticoagulants were at dangerously high dosages. Keisha's heartbeat accelerated. This was a major medication error, life-threatening level error. If true, these 6 patients were at serious risk. Internal bleeding, cardiac arrest, organ failure, all were possible complications. She immediately called the pharmacy. Night pharmacist Dr. Marcus Webb answered. Dr. Webb, this is Keisha Brown from ICU. I need to verify medication orders for bed 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, and 17. Something doesn't match. What do you mean doesn't match? Dr. Webb sounded tired. The dosages appear incorrect. Double doses of anticoagulants, wrong strength cardiac meds. Can you double check the orders? Silence on the phone. Then, Keisha, I prepared those myself. Everything is according to orders. Maybe you're reading wrong. Oh, Dr. Webb. I've been doing this for 15 years. I know medication protocols. These doses are dangerous. Look, it's 3 a.m. Everyone's tired. Just follow the orders and let's not complicate things. Keisha hung up frustrated, but her instincts told her something was seriously wrong. She decided to investigate further. She conducted a detailed computer system review. In the hospital's electronic medical record system, she looked at each patient's complete history. Original doctor's orders, pharmacy verification, nursing administration records. She traced everything. And then she found it. There was a software glitch in the system. A new update had been installed the previous week. In the update, the conversion factors used for medication dosage calculations were wrong. Milligram to milliliter conversion, international units to local units conversion, mathematical formulas were corrupted. This only affected specific types of medications, blood thinners, cardiac medications, anticoagulants, and only specific patient types, post-surgical recovery, cardiac monitoring, high-risk patients. Exactly her 6 patients category. Keisha realized this wasn't just in the ICU. This was a problem happening in all departments of the hospital. Surgery, emergency, general wards, everywhere the same medications were used, the same error was repeating. She did a quick calculation. The hospital had an average of 200 patients on any given night. Roughly 50 patients were taking these specific medications. All were receiving wrong doses. All were under life-threatening risk. She immediately called her supervisor. Night supervisor Linda Martinez was a 20-year veteran, an experienced and respected nurse. Linda, we have a major problem. System-wide medication error. 50 FLUP patients affected. Keisha, slow down. What are you talking about? Keisha explained the entire situation. Software glitch, wrong dosages, dangerous complications, immediate action needed. Linda listened patiently, then said, Keisha, are you sure about this? That's a very serious accusation. System checks are done multiple times. Doctors, pharmacists, nurses, everyone would have caught such an error. Linda, I'm absolutely sure. I've triple-checked everything. We need to act immediately. Let me call the hospital administrator. This needs to go through proper channels. 30 minutes passed. No response from administration. Keisha checked on her 6 patients. 3 of them showed early signs of complications. Mrs. Carter's dizziness increased. Mr. Johnson developed unusual bruising. The teenager in bed 11 complained of severe headache. At 4:15 a.m., Linda called back. Keisha, I spoke with Administrator Johnson. He says the system was thoroughly tested before implementation. The error you're describing is not possible. He wants you to continue standard protocols and not alarm staff unnecessarily. Linda, patients are showing symptoms. We can't wait. Keisha, you're a good nurse, but you're not a doctor. Trust the system. Trust the experts. Keisha realized that official channels weren't working. Either they didn't understand the severity, or they didn't want to acknowledge the problem. Hospital reputation, legal liability, media attention. There were many reasons to avoid admitting a massive error. But 50 lives were at stake. Keisha decided to take action herself. She couldn't wait for official approval. Her professional duty, her moral obligation, her basic humanity, everything told her to act. First, she personally checked every patient in ICU receiving suspect medications. 6 patients directly under her care, plus 4 more in adjacent units. She documented symptoms, vital changes, early warning signs. Evidence was mounting. Then she called Dr. Sarah Chen, an emergency medicine physician she trusted. Dr. Chen was young, dedicated, not part of hospital politics. "Chen, this is Keisha Brown from ICU. I need to discuss a critical situation with you. Can you come to ICU immediately?" "What's wrong?" "System-wide medication error. Multiple patients affected. I need a physician to verify my assessment and authorize corrective action." Dr. Chen arrived within 10 minutes. Keisha showed her everything: computer records, medication orders, patient symptoms, dosage calculations. Dr. Chen reviewed everything carefully. "My God, Keisha, you're absolutely right. This is catastrophic. How many patients are affected?" "Approximately 50 throughout the hospital. We need to act immediately. Every minute counts." Dr. Chen started calling other physicians, department heads, pharmacy supervisors, but the same resistance everywhere. "System is fine. Impossible error. Don't create panic." Meanwhile, patient conditions worsened. Mrs. Carter developed chest pains. Mr. Johnson showed signs of internal bleeding. Emergency situations were developing. At 5:30, Dr. Chen made an executive decision. "Keisha, we're implementing emergency protocol. We'll treat affected patients with antidotes and corrective medications. We'll document everything and deal with administrative consequences later." The next 2 hours were frantic. Keisha and Dr. Chen worked together, identifying affected patients, administering antidotes, stabilizing conditions. They managed to reach most critical patients before permanent damage occurred. By 700, the morning shift arrived. Day staff gradually learned about the night's events. Some supported Keisha's actions, others questioned her judgment. Hospital administration launched an immediate investigation. Later that morning, hospital administrator Robert Johnson called Keisha to his office. "Nurse Brown, you caused significant disruption last night, bypassing proper channels, alarming staff unnecessarily, creating chaos in multiple departments." "Mr. Johnson, I saved lives. 50 patients were receiving dangerous medication doses. Without intervention, we would have had multiple fatalities." "That's your opinion. Our investigation shows the system worked properly. Any complications were normal post-surgical effects." "Oh, Mr. Johnson, I have documented evidence. Dr. Chen verified my findings. Computer records show clear errors." "Nurse Brown, I'm placing you on administrative leave pending full investigation. You overstepped your authority, violated protocols, and undermined hospital operations." Keisha couldn't believe it. Instead of recognition for preventing disaster, she was being punished for speaking up. "Mr. Johnson, are you covering up the error?" "Nurse Brown, you're dismissed. Security will escort you out." Word of Keisha's suspension spread quickly through the hospital. Some nurses supported her, knowing her reputation and integrity. Others worried about their own jobs and stayed silent. Physicians divided into camps: those who trusted Keisha's expertise versus those who supported administration. Dr. Chen continued investigating. She found additional evidence of systematic errors, not just in medications but in other hospital systems. The software company had known about glitches but hadn't notified hospitals promptly. Local media heard about the story. Health reporters started asking questions. Why was an experienced nurse suspended? Were patient safety concerns covered up? What really happened that night? Keisha decided to speak publicly. She contacted Channel 6 News, New Orleans' major television station. Investigative reporter Maria Santos agreed to interview her. "This isn't about me," Keisha told the camera. "This is about patient safety. This is about truth. 50 people almost died because of preventable errors, and the hospital wants to hide it." The interview aired on the evening news. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Families of affected patients called, demanding answers. Other hospital employees came forward with similar concerns. The state health department announced an investigation. Hospital administration fought back. They released a statement questioning Keisha's credibility, suggesting she misunderstood complex medical procedures. They hired a public relations firm to manage the media response. But the evidence was too strong. Dr. Chen's documentation, computer records, patient testimonies, expert analysis, everything supported Keisha's claims. 3 weeks later, an independent investigation concluded that Keisha had indeed identified a critical system failure that endangered multiple patients. The software company admitted errors and agreed to pay damages. Hospital administration faced sanctions from the state health board. Keisha was reinstated with full back pay and a formal apology. But more importantly, new protocols were implemented hospital-wide to prevent similar errors. Double-checking systems, independent verification, nurse authority to question orders without retaliation. The hospital also established the Keisha Brown Patient Safety Protocol, a comprehensive system allowing any staff member to raise safety concerns without fear of punishment. 6 months later, Keisha received the Louisiana Nurse of the Year award. At the ceremony, she said, "I didn't do anything heroic. I just did my job. But we need to create an environment where doing the right thing is supported, not punished." The story attracted national attention. Keisha spoke at nursing conferences across the country, advocating for patient safety and healthcare worker protection. Her experience became a case study in medical schools and nursing programs. That night changed everything. Keisha reflects now, "Not just for me, but for how we think about speaking up in healthcare. Patients trust us with their lives. We have an obligation to protect them, even when it's difficult." Mrs. Carter, the patient whose symptoms first alerted Keisha to the problem, made a full recovery. She visits Keisha regularly, calling her "my guardian angel." "I don't know what would have happened if Keisha hadn't been working that night," Mrs. Carter says. "She literally saved my life and 49 others." Today, Keisha continues working at Mercy General Hospital, now as nursing supervisor for quality and safety. Her office walls display awards and commendations, but she's most proud of the letters from patients and families whose lives were impacted by her actions. "People ask me if I regret speaking up, considering the trouble it caused," Keisha says. "But how can you regret saving lives? How can you regret doing what's right?" Hospital culture has changed significantly since that night. Open communication, safety reporting, error prevention, all prioritized at the highest levels. Other hospitals adopted similar protocols, creating a ripple effect throughout the healthcare industry. One person can make a difference, Keisha tells nursing students who visit the hospital. But it requires courage to speak truth, even when others don't want to hear it. The software company that created the flawed system paid a multi-million-dollar settlement and implemented stringent testing procedures. New federal regulations require enhanced safety checks for hospital computer systems. Most importantly, not a single life was lost due to the medication errors. All 50 affected patients recovered fully thanks to the timely intervention that night. "I think about that night often," says Dr. Chen, who worked alongside Keisha during the crisis. "It showed me what real leadership looks like." Keisha didn't wait for permission to do the right thing. She saw a problem, she acted. She saved lives. Keisha's story became an inspiration for healthcare workers nationwide. Speak up when you see something wrong. Trust your expertise. Put patients first always. Healthcare is about people, Keisha says. Real people with families, dreams, futures. When we forget that, when we put protocols above people, we lose sight of why we became healthcare workers in the first place. But Keisha's story didn't end just with that night. 2 years after the incident, the National Healthcare Safety Foundation invited her as a keynote speaker. Over 2,000 healthcare professionals attended the conference in Washington, D.C. The biggest lesson that night taught me, Keisha told the crowd, was that the cost of silence was much higher than the risk of speaking up. 50 lives were at stake. If I hadn't spoken, who would have? After her speech, dozens of healthcare workers shared similar experiences. Nurses, doctors, technicians all told stories of noticing errors in the system but being unable to speak up. Keisha's courage had inspired them. The Keisha Brown Patient Safety Protocol, established at Mercy General, is now implemented in over 200 hospitals across 47 states. Thanks to the protocol, over 200 potential medical errors have been detected and prevented so far. Keisha's story entered medical school curricula. Under the Patient Advocacy and Ethical Responsibility course, students study Keisha's case and learn how to act when they encounter similar situations. Dr. Michael Rodriguez from Harvard Medical School says, "The Keisha Brown case became a turning point in healthcare education. Our students now learn not only medical knowledge, but also the courage to speak up and patient advocacy." Tulane University, Keisha's alma mater, established a scholarship fund in her name. The Keisha Brown Patient Safety Scholarship is given to 5 nursing students each year. The scholarship requirement developing projects on patient safety and ethics. Jennifer Martinez, one of this year's scholarship recipients, says, "Keisha Brown is my role model. She taught me that a nurse is not just someone who takes orders, but an active protector of patient safety." Keisha's impact wasn't limited to the healthcare sector. Her story is also used as a case study in areas like workplace safety, quality control, and corporate ethics. It studied in Harvard Business School's Organizational Courage course. Louisiana State Senator Rebecca Thompson, inspired by Keisha's experience, passed the Whistleblower Protection in Healthcare Law. The law prevents healthcare workers from facing retaliation for reporting safety concerns. What Keisha Brown experienced was something no healthcare worker should have to go through, says Senator Thompson. Being punished for telling the truth is unacceptable. This law will protect future Keishas. Keisha's personal life also changed. After her story became known, David Wilson, a famous motivational speaker, proposed to her. Wilson had admired Keisha's courage and character. They married in 2025 and now give conferences together on patient safety issues. What I saw in Keisha wasn't just courage, but acting with love, says David. She genuinely cared about patients. She acted not for money or fame, but simply because it was right. Keisha's two children, 14-year-old Marcus and 12-year-old Aisha, tell their mother's story at their schools. Mom always tells us about the importance of telling the truth, says Marcus. Even when it's hard, you have to do what's right. In her office at Mercy General, Keisha displays letters from around the world. A nurse from Poland, a doctor from Japan, a technician from Australia, all write that they were inspired by Keisha's story. These letters give me the greatest joy, says Keisha, because they show that what happened that night wasn't limited to New Orleans. People around the world are finding the courage to speak up. Meditech Systems, the software company, redesigned all their systems after the errors Keisha discovered. Company CEO Michael Jung says, "Thanks to the errors Keisha Brown discovered, we developed new security systems that will protect millions of patients." The company also developed a new system called the Brown Safety Algorithm. This system automatically detects errors by mimicking the logical processes Keisha followed that night. The system has prevented over 15,000 potential errors so far. The CDC Centers for Disease Control studied Keisha's case and updated national patient safety guidelines. The new guidelines strengthen nurses' role in error detection and detail how to act in cases of suspicion. Keisha's experience that night is known in medical literature as the Brown Protocol. The protocol defines the steps healthcare workers should follow in critical error detection situations. 1. Conduct detailed analysis when in doubt. 2. Document evidence. 3. Get expert opinion. 4. Prioritize patient safety. 5. Bypass hierarchy if necessary. 6. Follow up on results. This protocol is now used in over 30 countries worldwide. Perhaps the most impactful aspect of Keisha's story is how the 50 patients from that night continued their lives. Mr. Johnson is now 75, spending time with his grandchildren. Mrs. Carter fully recovered from heart surgery and participates in annual marathons. The young man in bed 11 decided to become a physical therapy doctor after his car accident. "I'm here because of Keisha," says Tommy Rodriguez, now 22, the former patient. "She saved my life and I want to save others' lives. I want to be like her." The most frequently asked question to Keisha today is, if you lived that night again, would you do the same thing? Her answer never changes, of course, because I had no choice but to do what was right. Keisha Brown's story is proof of how one person's courage can affect thousands of lives. She could have chosen to stay silent that night. She could have chosen not to be risky, but she chose to speak up. And thanks to this choice, the world became a safer place. Is there a Keisha Brown inside you? Do you have the courage to speak up when you see something wrong? Because you never know. Your voice might be the next life-saving voice.